Hello, hello, my friends. It is the most anticipated release from Kringle Candle of the year. Yes, we are talking Halloween. Now, if you have been with my channel any length of time, you guys might be a little bit surprised to see this video. I'll talk about that in just a moment. But yes, today we are going to be previewing all 12 of the new fragrances. Yes, you heard me correctly. 12 new Halloween fragrances are going to be offered, as well as 6 returning fragrances. So I'm going to go over all of these candles with you. We're going to have a little bit of a sniff session for the 12 candles that are returning. I do still have one of the candles that is making a return in my collection, so I'll share some brief thoughts about that. But yeah, I'm going to give you guys all of the launch information that you're going to want to know. As always, all of the products that I'm talking about today will be listed in the description box down below. I will have timestamps. I'll have fragrance notes down there for you, so that way you can easily reference back. So yeah, before I get into this this video anymore, I did also want to acknowledge that while this is not a sponsored video, I don't do sponsored video, all of the candles that I am talking about today, minus the one that is already in my collection, but the 12 new fragrances were sent to me in PR by Kringle Candle. So a big thank you to them for sending them to me. But as always, you guys know I'm going to keep it real with you guys. There's a couple of fragrances in here. I'm just going to tell you straight up, they're not my jam. I wouldn't have purchased them. I plan to move them along as soon as I'm done with this video. They're not for me, but there are a couple that I really, really love in here. So I'm going to keep it real and let you guys know. So, all right, where should I start with? First and foremost, when are these going to be available? Well, the Halloween collection will be launching. You're going to want to pay attention to this because it's a little bit tricky. They are launching at midnight on Friday, August 1st. Now, the hiccup with that is that if you are on the West Coast like I am, you're going to mark your calendar for July 31st at 9 p.m. Eastern or 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So again, these are going to go live August 1st at midnight, 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you are in other time zones, make sure that you plan accordingly. If you're in, further west, you're going to be still on July 31st. So I wanted to make that known. These candles that I'm talking about today are the black jars. They are going to be $34. That's the price point that they've been at for the last couple of years. So yeah, these are the $34, kind of like the, I would call it like the creepy label. There's some really creepy labels in here, black jars that are going to be available. So yeah, last year we know Kringle went pretty big with Halloween. My suspicion is that they're going to do that again this year, but yeah, this has kind of been a staple in the Kringle lineup. Now, I did want to address really quickly, like I said, if you are new to my channel, you may not know this, but fun fact about me, you guys, I actually don't like the Halloween holiday. I know there's a lot of people who love it. I don't. I never really have, even since I was a little kid. I'm not into like the macabre and quite frankly, a lot of the demonic imagery. It's not really my thing. However, last year, I passed up getting PR on this collection because, like I said, my family personally, it's just not really a holiday that we embrace. It's not really, there's a lot of aspects to it that are not in line with my personal beliefs. And I'm not pushing those onto you at all. Everybody has their own beliefs. But for me personally, there's just a lot of things that I'm not always comfortable with. And it's funny, I even told my contact, I was like, well, he said, do you want the PR? And I said, well, I can at least show people on my channel what it's going to be. But I do want to let you know that if there's any labels or anything that don't sit well with me, I'll probably peel them off if I like the fragrance or whatnot. And he was like, you can do whatever you want with them. So that's what I'm going to do. Labels can be peeled off pretty easily. At the end of the day, it is just fragrance. So yeah, the reason why I did end up actually accepting the PR though is because last year I ended up purchasing, I think I ended up purchasing 4 Halloween fragrances last year, and one of those fragrances, which unfortunately is not returning this year, was my standout favorite. I loved last year's Skull and Sonnet. I called it the pirate candle. It kind of reminded me a little bit of one of my favorite perfumes that has been discontinued from Maison Margiela, which is their Whispers in the Library. It reminded me a lot of that perfume. Love that candle. So I'm really glad I bought backups of it last year because it is not making a return this year. So while we are talking about fragrances that are making a return this year, I feel like that's a good little segue here. So I'm going to list off here the 6 returning fragrances, or actually 8. Wait, 8. Goodness, Katie, let's count. All right, so we have a total of 20. Yeah, 20. Let's add up 12 and 8. There's a total of 20 candles in these black jars. My goodness, you guys, I haven't filmed in almost 2 weeks and it shows. Forgive me if I'm a little bit rusty. Okay, so returning fragrances are going to be Black Cat, has top notes of spicy cinnamon, mid notes of clove, base notes of cedar and frankincense. Candy Corn is making a return. We have top notes of rich caramel, golden honey, sweet mid notes of sweet praline, nutmeg, and cinnamon, base notes of creamy vanilla and toasted almond. I have not had that candle in the past. I have heard some others make a comparison that some people say it's in the same fragrance family, if you're familiar with Kringle candles, as their Reserve sprinkled macarons, as well as their Marshmallow Morning. So just putting that out there. Here's the fragrance that's making a return that was new last year, and I do have it in my collection. It is Haunted Hallows. I think a lot of you guys are going to be happy to see this one return. We have top notes of Woodsmoke, fir, mid notes of herbal and apple, base note of patchouli and musk. I will give you guys a quick little sniff impression here once I go over all of the fragrances that are returning. The fragrance Nevermore is also returning. We have top notes of chai spice and honey, mid notes of sandalwood and tea, base note of cinnamon and floral. I know that's a really popular one. I almost purchased that one last year. I'm on the fence. I might get that one this year. We'll see. You guys chime in down below. Do I need Nevermore? I think the only thing that's giving me a little bit of pause is the honey note. I don't always love honey in fragrances, so you guys let me know. It's coming back with a new label, but the fragrance is Poison Apple. We have top notes of apple and bergamot, mid notes of apple blossom, lily of the valley, jasmine, base notes of amber, vanilla, and wood. This one also has a new label, but this is also a fan favorite. This one sells out pretty quickly every year. The fragrance Sleepy Hollow is returning. We have top notes of pumpkin spice, incense, mid notes of cedarwood and clove, base notes of caramel and citrus. I actually did have that candle 2 years ago, and it is very good. It's a good one. I can see why it's very popular. It's not full-on gourmand like you would think with having some base notes of caramel in there and pumpkin spice. That incense note is pretty distinct in there, but that is a nice fragrance, and so I see why it's very, very popular. Another popular fragrance with a new label is Witch's Cauldron. We have top notes of cedar, clove, mid notes of incense, and base notes of citrus. And then the last returning fragrance is Wolf's Bane, also with a new label. We have top notes of floral, mid notes of amber, base note of powder. So I wanted to go over really quickly. I do still have Haunted Hallows from last year. I kind of called this like the Harry Potter candle. The imagery on here kind of reminds me of the Harry Potter. I've never even really, I'm not really a fan of the Harry Potter series, but a lot of people said like, just kind of gives those vibes, kind of just like a dark gothic castle here. But the fragrance on this one, this was very popular last year. So I'm glad that they brought it back because this is a nice fragrance that I feel like I really enjoyed burning this fragrance like late October, early November. It's kind of a great transitional scent from fall to holiday because you get that fir note in here. There's a tree note, but it doesn't necessarily scream Christmas tree. There's also, it says apple. Yeah, you do smell a little bit of that apple. There's some perfuminess from patchouli and musk, but it's not overly like perfumey, like hippie patchouli. This is just really, really well done. A little bit of smokiness to it, but it's not as smoky. There's some other fragrances that Kringle has done that are a lot smokier than this one. But this is a really, really well done fragrance. I have a feeling that this one's going to be popular again. So if you missed out on it last year and you had your eye on it, it is returning. So that one is very exciting to see make a return. So All right, let's go ahead and dive into these new fragrances. I am trying to get all of this filmed in a short period of time, and I should have warned you guys at the beginning. You're going to want to have a snack or a drink in hand here because there's a lot to talk about here. So let's go ahead and go through these. All right, the first one here, no, I don't like this label, but we have Bloody Mary here. Fragrance notes on Bloody Mary are absinthe, spooky saffron, eucalyptus, anise, black currant, basil, blackberry, fennel, dark musk, tonka bean, and amber. And we all know Kringle is very descriptive oftentimes with their fragrance notes. Sometimes they give us a lot of accords and you really don't know what to expect. But I'm going to tell you guys, I don't really love this one. This is kind of in that like fruity floral type of category to me. Yeah, this is one I'm not going to do any. First off, I don't like this label. Second, I don't like the fragrance at all. There's aspects about it that remind me a little bit of some of their like spring fruity florals. I'm thinking like Beautiful Day, watercolors, but there's something a little bit darker about this, a little bit deeper and more robust and rich. I'm trying to pull out exactly what fragrance notes. Like I definitely get like the black currant and the blackberry, some fennel in there. Fennel can come across a little bit like maple, but it's not overly mapley to me. Dark musk. There's something about this that it's just, I don't know what absinthe smells like, but like, I feel like this is like a darker take on fragrances that if you like they're, like I said, they're Beautiful Day, watercolors. It just feels, there's something that's a little bit darker about it, but I don't like this fragrance at all. I don't know. This one, yeah, I don't like that label, but we're going to move on. And I promise you guys, I'm not going to poo-poo all of these because there are quite a few of these fragrances that I do really like, but I told you, I'm going to keep it real. I don't like that Bloody Mary fragrance, and I don't like the label either. All right, here's another one, Zombie Horde. So we've got a bunch of like skeletal hands coming out of the dirt here. We have fragrance notes listed here as ripe apple, burnt smoke, okay, let's pronounce this correctly, olibanum resin, golden amber, sandalwood, leather, incense, and musk. Now, okay, this is going to be the fragrance this kind of smells like potting soil to me. I'm on the fence about this one. This is a unique fragrance. Initially, I smelled it and I was like, nah, I don't like that. But there's something actually that I kind of like about this. There's kind of like it kind of reminds me of walking through like the garden center at like Home Depot or Lowe's. Yeah, you get like potting soil. I guess that's the way that I would describe it, but it's like moist potting soil. Sorry, I know a lot of people hate that word, but like kind of like a damp potting soil. The more that I smell this, the more that I like this. Initially, I thought like, oh, I'm going to go ahead and pass this one along, but I actually think I'm going to keep this one. I think that this is actually going to pair really nicely with one of the new fall fragrances that they just launched. The, which one is it? Is it the Amberwood Moss? I think that's what it's called. It's the Moss fragrance that is in the new fall lineup. I said it's like the fall version of spring Spanish moss. Even if you have Spanish moss, I actually think I'm going to keep this one. This actually I might burn right now. I feel like this is a good transitional fragrance. I am in the place right now, you guys, where I am honestly like over all of the summer fragrances, and I'm actually starting to burn some fragrances that I would consider to be more like not full on fall, like pumpkin and apple and all that kind of stuff, but more of like just not tropical fruity, but it's not pumpkin and apple. I guess I'm burning some transitional scents, and I feel like this is actually kind of a nice transitional scent. Yeah, I think I'm going to burn this with that moss one. So we'll see about this, but this is Zombie Horde. So if you're somebody who likes kind of those like damp soil type of candles, you will like that one. Okay, this is Killer Clown. Again, very creepy. Those of us, I already find clowns creepy. I don't need him to look any creepier. So that one is not my jam. But we have fragrance notes here of ginger bats, apple, fanged fig, purplish plum, anise, milky skin, peach, warm honey, tonka bean, and dark vanilla. Now, okay, I think I'm going to keep this one because I don't have this fragrance anymore in my collection to compare side by side. But just off the bat, this fragrance to me is a sibling to Crimson and Clover from the Reserve line. It reminds me a lot of that fragrance, actually, if I can be really honest. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's a repackage. If I had both of them side by side, then I could probably make that claim a little bit better. But because I've already been through the Crimson and Clover, it's out of my collection. I haven't had it in almost a year. But for those of you guys who like that fragrance, or if you like fig fragrances, we know that they just had their Velvet Fig fragrance released in the fall lineup. And I love that fragrance, by the way. It is like a good creamy fig. I think that this one will complement that really well. So honestly, I think what I'll do is I'm going to peel the label off of this, but I do like the fragrance. Yeah, but this reminds me an awful lot of Crimson and Clover. So if you already have Crimson and Clover in your collection and you just feel kind of meh about it, you could probably pass up on this. But if you like Crimson and Clover, if you've loved that fragrance in the past, then you're going to like Killer Clown. But yeah, label is going to be peeled off, but the fragrance in and of itself is really nice. And like I said, you guys know that I like to burn complementary fragrances in my collection. The next one here, we have London Fog. This kind of like is giving like Jack the Ripper type of vibes. Did any of you guys, funny memory for me, my dad used to watch The Twilight Zone when I was little, and I remember that there was an episode that kind of had like Jack the Ripper in it, and that it terrified me. I have nightmares about that. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe I'm getting here. London Fog. Okay, London Fog has different notes listed on the fragrance note sheet that I was given than what is listed on the bottom here. So the bottom of this candle has amber, floral, bergamot, saffron, moss, and amber listed. But over here on the fragrance note sheet, it says top notes of tonka and floral, mid notes of bergamot and saffron, and base notes of moss and amberwood. So this to me, this also smells very familiar. I feel like I've already had a Kringle candle that smells like this before. Was it? I'm wanting to say it's in that family of like Maple Woods, Arctic Highway. It's kind of cologne-y, but not like in like a mahogany type of way. I get the saffron note in there for sure. The saffron note is like jumping off of the page here to me. Little bit of sweetness from bergamot. Moss, there's some moss in there. But this is more if you kind of like those like cologne-y type of fragrances. But again, you don't want like deep, rich cologne. It's not a cologne fragrance, say like Polo was or even Blackjack. It's more like a lighter men's cologne. But yeah, saffron is the main note that I pick up in here. But again, it smells very familiar to me. Can't really say that it's a repackage, but my mind instantly just wants to say it reminds me a little bit of Maple Woods, but not as mapley. Like there's no maple note in there. The saffron note is a little bit more present. Okay, Conjuring. We've got some demonic ceremony being pictured right here on the front. Not my thing, but all right. Fragrance notes on Conjuring are wood. Let me see here. Yeah, wood, cedar, violet, herbal, amber, and spice. So I opened this up and I said, ooh, this smells very familiar. And I'm going to tell you, I was like, I feel like I've had this fragrance. And so sure enough, I went into my closet and pulled out a candle that I had from last year, which is my, sometimes the Kringle candles do this, which is Witching Hour. If you liked Witching Hour, yeah, you're gonna like Conjuring. Conjuring, I feel like, is a sibling. It's a sibling to Witching Hour. So if you liked Witching Hour, you're going to like Conjuring. You get that like dark, smoky. This one actually paired really nicely with Haunted Hallows last year. The only thing that's a little bit different about Conjuring is it's slightly sweeter. There's a sweeter element to it, not like in like a gourmand sweetness. It's like a floral sweetness. I think that's that violet. What else is listed on here? Yeah, cedar, violet, herbal. There's something herbal in here, amber and spice. But it's got kind of that like smoky, there's no incense listed here. but it's kind of got that cedar wood, but it's not cedar wood like the new, what's the fall candle that was just rosewood and vetiver? That one comes across very like cedar and patchouli to me. That's not what I'm getting here. This is nice. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I'm probably going to pass this one along just because I do already have Witching Hour. And if you're going to ask me like, what are my favorites? Witching Hour, I just felt kind of like meh about. I honestly just kept it in my collection to see if it would come back around this year, to see if I would need to do a post-burn review on it prior to the launch. But now that it's not coming back this year, I could see myself passing it along. So yeah, this one I'm probably going to be decluttering. But if you liked Witching Hour, if you like kind of those like smoky, little bit of floral note in there, then you'll like it. But I don't really like the imagery and the scent. I just feel, I don't hate the scent, but I also don't love it. Like that Bloody Mary scent, I don't like at all. Like, nope. Okay, here's another one. Abduction. This one's actually not a label that bothers me at all. This is kind of funny to me. Like, oh, we're getting abducted by aliens. Fragrance notes on Abduction are citrus, greens, herbal, wood, moss, and spiced amber. Here we go with the moss. They use a lot of moss, I feel like, in the fall. Okay, this is very like fresh. Fresh green type of fragrance, kind of sweet from that citrus in there again. This is nice. Is this a fragrance that if I were to go in store and pick it up and sniff it and be like, oh, would I buy it? No. It's still out of my wheelhouse. My daughter liked this one. I could actually see this being more of like a spring fragrance just because there's something like very green and lively about this. I feel like this is a fragrance that belongs more in like the St. Patrick's Day collection than it does like in a Halloween lineup. Feels a little bit misplaced. But again, one of the things I will give Kringle props on is that I do feel like they really strive to give a variety of fragrances here. I know there's quite a few of you gourmand lovers who are saying, where are the gourmands? There's 2 in here. Not surprisingly, they're my favorites. But we're getting there. We're getting there. But yeah, this is very like fresh green. Reminds me more of a spring fragrance. Slightly sweet. That citrus note is in there. Herbal, wood, moss, spiced amber. There is something that the amber is present in here. It's lending a little bit of warmth, but it's a unique fragrance. I don't know about this one, you guys. I don't know if I'm going to hold on to this one or if I'm going to pass it along. I guess this is one that I'm kind of on the fence about. Because part of me thinks like maybe I'll hold on to it for spring, but then there's also a part of me that's like, will I though? Like, do I really love this fragrance enough that I'm going to want it for the spring? Probably not. So this one might get passed along, but it is an interesting fragrance. It's, you know, outside of the typical wheelhouse. The next fragrance we have here is Chest of Chaos. Now, I do have listed on the bottom here, let's see, are there different fragrance notes? Yeah, there's different fragrance notes, once again, listed on my sheet as opposed to what's on the bottom of the candle here. We have fragrance notes of warm spice, amber, peach, vanilla, tonka bean, and more amber. And then my sheet here says the top notes are warm spice and cypress, mid notes of peach and vanilla, and a base note of tonka bean, armoire, and patchouli. So a little bit different fragrance notes here. Now, okay, when I first smelled this, you know what? This is another one that I'm kind of having the same reaction to this fragrance as I had with that Velvet Fig. At first, the Velvet Fig that's in the new fall lineup. In fact, the more that I smell it, it's not fig. It's definitely peach. The fruit note I get in here is peach, but it's not, I feel like it's more like autumnal peach. It's more of like a very, it's not like a summertime, it's not a summertime peach. This smells almost more like it's like a creamy, slightly spiced peach. The more I smell this one, the more that I like it. I will tell you guys, this is one at first that I was kind of like, I don't really love it. But it's grown on me. There's some aspect about this, even though it's not listed anywhere in here, it comes across almost, I want to say boozy like cognac does. And I think this is where I'm drawing the connection, because Velvet Fig has a cognac note listed in it. And when I smelled this, you know what it made me? It reminded me a little bit, different fragrance, but I feel like it could be a distant cousin to last year's Thirst. Now, Thirst last year had a distinct cognac note in it. That this is a boozy fragrance. This is boozy. This new Chest of Chaos, though, it's peach, but there's a creamy element to it that you would find in Velvet Fig. So if you just got the Velvet Fig candle and you like that kind of creamy fruitiness, I think that you would like this one if you like peach. Now, we all know Cody doesn't love peach. But this also isn't like right off the bat being like, oh, I don't know. It doesn't smell like a grilled peach. It doesn't smell like summertime peach to me. This smells more like autumnal peach. This is probably the one that has grown on me the most, the more that I've smelled it. So yeah, I actually think that this is another fragrance that I would probably start burning right now. So yeah, we've got a Chest of Chaos. Okay, here's the one that I think a lot of people are going to be intrigued by. And I'm just going to tell you, it does not smell like what I was like thinking it was going to. So this is Mummy Marshmallow. We have fragrance notes of marshmallow, cinnamon, clove bud, birch, earthy mosses, cedarwood, musk, oak, patchouli, and vanilla bean. So we're all thinking gourmand, right? It's not really. It's not really gourmand. Now, do I detect marshmallow? Yes. It is the same marshmallow note. I feel like that is in Warm and Toasty. However, it is not as sweet and ambery as Warm and Toasty. This is still that sweet marshmallow, but it kind of reminds me of Warm and Toasty without the sweet amberiness to it. It's definitely more smoky. This comes across, but not like firewood smoke. It's the oak. I'm smelling some oak in there. I have a feeling that this is one of those ones that once I light it, I'm really going to enjoy it a lot more. On cold sniff, it's kind of throwing me for a little bit of a loop. It definitely smells kind of like there's some spices in there. Again, the more I stick my nose in it, the more I like it. Now, there is a reserve fragrance. I hope it's still available. I'm not sure if it still is, but they had a reserve fragrance last year. I think it was in the fall lineup called Smoke and Oak, and I really, really loved that fragrance. And I'm actually thinking I should combine that one with this one. I should burn them alongside each other just to see, you know, how those go. My goodness, you guys, I have so many new candles to burn and get reviews on. But the more that I smell this, I think I will. But if you are hoping that this is going to be just like a warm, gooey marshmallow scent, if you don't like anything that might have a little bit of smokiness to it, I would say avoid this. I'm going to go ahead and try to get some burns done on quite a few of these. I'm going to try to get some burns done. I will do my best to give you guys some post-burn reviews prior to the launch. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that within the next 2 weeks, but we'll see, because you guys know I do typically like to get to the halfway point. Some of these I might have to get to the third of the way. But again, this is another fragrance. Some of these, you guys, it's so funny. The more that I've sniffed them, the more I'm like, okay, I think I can give those a try. But I will say the Mummy Marshmallow was just, it was different than what I thought it was going to be. But I have a feeling that's going to be one of those ones that once I start burning it, I think it's going to transform upon burn. Okay, here we have Exorcism. That's creepy. Exorcism. We have fragrance notes here of bergamot, eerie lemon, eucalyptus, black tea, cucumber, haunted rose, cursed cedarwood, beeswax, amber, and earthy musk. So again, this one is more of like a, I see this being kind of like a January fragrance, to be honest with you. There's spice in here mixed with some citrus. I like this one more than that Abduction one. Again, here we go. The more that I smell it, it almost has like that same like spice vibe going on to it as you would get in, say, like a oh, what type of candle would it be? Like almost like a pomander type of scent, but it's not orange. But it's like it's like a spiced lemon type of fragrance. They have lemon listed. Yeah. I smell bergamot and lemon. There's citrus in there for sure. Cucumber, I don't really get cucumber. I don't really detect rose. There's maybe a little bit of woodiness to it, but it's kind of perfumey, somewhat clean. But again, I feel like all of these are trying to go with what I would say would be the Halloween holiday, which is a little bit darker. It's trying to just have a little bit more of like an autumnal vibe. This is one I'm on the fence about. Again, another fragrance, if I would have gone in store and picked this up, would I have bought it? Probably not. But it's interesting. If there's one thing we know about Kringle, they tend to love their conceptual fragrances. Okay, here's another one, Cabin in the Woods. So that's kind of creepy looking as well. What is that? What was that movie that came out when I was in high school? Is that like The Lady from the Ring or something like that? I don't know. I was never into these types of movies. Cabin in the Woods. We have fragrance notes of golden saffron, rose, black truffle, crocus flower, patchouli, vanilla, agarwood, and oak moss. Okay, this is another one. This kind of gives me like, it's funny, it says cabin in the woods. This gives me kind of like luxury mountain resort vibes without it leaning, but more, how would I put this? Like, this is not beachside resort. It's definitely more like mountain resort, but it's not like a bunch of like cedarwood or anything. The note that actually stands out in here is rose. But the rose in here almost smells like a decaying rose. And I mean that in a good way, like not in a bad way. There's some elements about this that reminds me a little bit of the rose note that I had in the sunflower and suede candle that was part of last year's, was that their fall reserve. They had their sunflower and suede. And I like this fragrance, but I see myself burning this more so late January, early February. This doesn't really feel like a fall fragrance to me. I like fragrances like this around Valentine's Day. But again, this is not like a fresh cut rose. There's something a little bit more of like a moody rose, I would say, to this fragrance. Kind of perfumey. Yeah, I think if you like that sunflower and suede fragrance, you're going to like that. Or if you kind of like a velvet rose type of scent. But there's something about it. My daughter smelled this one, my teenager. She smelled this and she was like, ooh, this smells like a resort or something like that. Like it smells very high end. It's a nice fragrance, but again, not really one that I would burn this time of year. All right, and now for all of you who are the gourmand lovers, here are the two gourmand fragrances, and no surprise, these are my two favorites. Just off of like cold sniff, these are the two that I was like, yep, love that one. Okay, so here's a fragrance that this name has been around before, but this is a completely new fragrance. This is Trick or Treat. So we've got, this label actually doesn't bother me at all. Just somebody going trick-or-treating. It looks like the Addams Family house or something like that. Okay, fragrance notes on Trick or Treat. I did want to let you guys know that my label, I actually reached out to one of the other ambassadors and asked and said like, hey, is your label on Trick or Treat incorrect? And he said, no, mine's fine. But mine has the wrong notes on here. So if you're looking at the B-roll, don't look at the notes on here. The notes listed here for Trick or Treat are top notes of walnut liqueur, cocoa powder, mid notes of dark chocolate truffle, mocha latte, creamy fudge, base notes of vanilla cream, raw sugar crystal, and dark caramel. So, you guys, I'm not normally a fan of chocolate fragrances, but any of you who have tried Kringle chocolate fragrances, particularly in their Reserve line or like maybe their Easter collection, if you like how they do, oh, this is so good. This is chocolate. There's a little bit of coffee note in there, little bit of nuttiness. There's a creaminess to this. I get like some vanilla creaminess in here as well. This is not a bittersweet chocolate. Leans a little bit more milk chocolate than dark chocolate in here. But I think what's smoothing it out is a little bit of that liqueur in here. It's not boozy. It's not a boozy fragrance at all. But yeah, they have had a trick or treat candle in the past, but I did want to let you guys know this is a completely new fragrance. Those of you who love, like I said, how Kringle does some chocolate fragrances, this one's really good on cold sniff. I'm really, really liking this one. Excited to burn this. Yeah, it's interesting because it's just such a wonderful blend of like the coffee note in here is not like bam in your face coffee. It's very much a background note. But yeah, you get chocolate, but there's creaminess to this. It's a very creamy type of candle. That's one thing I will give Kringle. They do a good job of like nailing things. I feel like nailing like a fragrances that kind of make you think of a food that's creamy without it leaning too lactonic. So yeah, trick or treat. Very nice one. And I'm going to say the candle that is my favorite, and I did burn this candle last night, is Pumpkin Head. Now, Pumpkin Head has fragrance notes of pumpkin, spice, orange, cinnamon, clove, and vanilla. So again, we've got the weird thing happening here. Okay, here's where I'm going to go with this one. Very similar, based off of like scent memory. I haven't had this candle in my collection in years. If you like Yankee Candle's Spiced Pumpkin, very, very similar. Also in the same vein, I feel like this is if Yankee Candle's Spiced Pumpkin married Homeworks' Autumn Pumpkin and had a baby, this is what they would have created. This is so good. I had this lit last night in my bedroom. I definitely want like 2 more of these. I love, love, love this scent. Elements of both of those. So if you're familiar with Autumn Pumpkin from Homeworks, if you're familiar with Spiced Pumpkin from Yankee, just think of those two combining. That orange note is back here. It lends a little bit of vibrancy, but it's not orange. Like your nose doesn't really detect it as being like, oh, there's orange. Not that at all. I think it just lends a little bit of like vibrancy and brightness to the pumpkin. It's not a creamy pumpkin type of scent. It's not as, say, like brown sugar heavy or as like Gourmand, say, as their great pumpkin scent that they had in the Reserve line a couple of years ago. It's not as creamy as sugared pumpkins. Or last year they had in the other Halloween candle that they had was the cute black cat on a pumpkin one. I still have one more of those in my collection. So I did go in and like compare. I still have a great pumpkin as well, so I compared them. Oh, this one is so good, you guys. If you're going to ask me what my top 2 candles or what my very favorite fragrance is from the whole collection, it is Pumpkin Head. This is the one that I definitely see myself wanting to order at least 2 more of because I love this fragrance. And the other thing I will tell you is that last night I lit it up for the first time. This thing started to throw within 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Like it wasn't even achieving a full wax pool and I was already starting to smell it in my bedroom. Definitely filled up that room, started to throw outside of it. So I could definitely see myself having a post burn on this one done prior to the launch. But yeah, this one is really good. Definitely my favorite of the bunch. So let's go ahead and somewhat rank these. I can't really say that I'm going to rank them like 1 through 12. The ones that are my favorites, the ones that I know for sure that I will hold on to and give a try and hopefully get some post-burn reviews. I can definitely see myself giving you guys a post-burn review on Pumpkinhead, on, let's see, Trick or Treat for sure. I can get those in. Cabin in the Woods, I just see myself burning that more so in like February. Chest of Chaos, what was that one? Yeah, I don't know if I'll get that one done prior to the launch. You guys, like I said, I have so many candles to get post-burn reviews on for you guys within the next couple of weeks. Just to be honest with you guys, it's probably going to be pretty Kringle and Caramel Sundays heavy just because those are the 2 brands that have some launches coming up or they've had recent launches. And so I'm trying to give you guys some post-burn reviews. So once I start getting these reviews churned out, Mummy Marshmallow, I will hang on to. Exorcism, I don't know. This one I'm on the fence about. If I do, again, you guys, if you see some of my post burns, I don't know. I don't like that label. Yeah, Exorcism is I'm on the fence about. I don't know. There's something about it that I kind of like, but again, it's not one that I would have purchased in person. Abduction, same feelings. Conjuring, like I said, I feel like I've had Witching Hour and it's okay, but Conjuring would pair really nicely with Haunted Hallows if you're looking for like similar ones. I could also see Conjuring going nicely with Sleepy Hollow if you happen to want to purchase that one. London Fog, I'll be passing that one along because I have had a fragrance similar to that in my collection before, and I think I decluttered that. Bloody Mary, ugh, definitely not. Don't like that one. Zombie Horde, yeah, I actually think I'm going to hold on to that to burn alongside the Moss one. And Killer Clown, I think I'm going to, even though I feel like it's very similar to Crimson and Clover, I think that it will burn really nicely with that new Velvet Fig, and I'm always looking for complementary scents. So those are my first impressions, not really first impressions, cold sniff impressions with a post burn on one of them. But like I said, let me know in the comment box down below the candles that I mentioned to you guys that I plan to keep and the ones that I really like. Would you guys maybe, if you are interested in these, would you guys help me out a little bit by listing of the ones that I said I'm going to keep, what are the top 3 that you are interested in seeing post-burn reviews of prior to the launch? That might help me prioritize what I need to burn, what I need to get reviews out for all of you guys to give you, strength and throw, all of that kind of stuff. So if you could help me out with that, I would really appreciate it. And I think that that would also help you guys out prior to the launch. So I can't remember if I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, but I do have a discount code with Kringle. It is an affiliate code eligible for a commission, so please only use it if you're comfortable. But my discount code is Katie15. It will save you 15% off of your full price purchase at Kringle. So when all of these candles go live, August 1st, midnight Eastern Standard Time, West Coast, that's July 31st, then, hopefully you guys will be well prepared. I do know that there's a couple of other ambassadors who have also received these candles in PR. And so I know a lot of them are going to be working hard to make sure that they give you guys some post-burn thoughts. So like I said, let me know in the comment box down below what you want me to prioritize burning if you want to see post-burn reviews, or maybe also just let me know, maybe if you're interested in the ones that are not really for me, let me know what ones catch your eye the most. So whew, that was a lot. That's a long video. This is my first video back after being on vacation. So I felt a little bit rusty, but we got it done. We knocked it out, didn't we? So anyways, you guys, again, please hit thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing to my channel if you are new. I also plan to upload this weekend my June Caramel Sundays order. It arrived while I was on vacation, so that is next in line for me to film. So hopefully I will have that video up for you guys this weekend as well. So anyways, I do want to say thank you so very, very much for spending your time here with me today. And until my next one, I hope you all go out and have a very blessed day. Bye.